Hello, YouTube. I never start videos like that. What am I even doing? I'm Jacob. This is the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. Hopefully this will be the last video ever where I start a video like this here. Um, at least, hopefully, the next one will be on the couch, even. If you're not up to speed on what's going on, I broke my leg. I'm going to give you guys a status update on that later for whoever's interested. And, but in the last two YouTube videos, hey Jack, what's up, man? The last two YouTube videos, I've forgotten to talk about the raffle, which was a huge point to, doing the raffle, doing the videos. Hey, Michael. So the raffle is only 11 tickets away from being complete. That is huge news. Super excited. Hey, bud. So I think probably by next week we'll be able to wrap that up. Feel free to share the information with your friends because we really only need a couple more people to get done with it. Now, once the raffle is complete, I'm going to make whatever beach and tactical products that the winner wants, but that is going to take a little while. So I have a wholesale order that is still being waited on. I have a couple sling orders, and Christopher, glad to hear it, bud. Everything is on hold, so I'll get into talking about my situation. The doctor at first thought that I had just fractured my tibia and it wasn't a big deal. Long story short, after the VA dragged their feet to get me an appointment, as it turns out, I fractured my tibia, broke the bone that connects the tibia and the fibula, and also damaged a bunch of tendons. So my foot, which sits right underneath that, is all shifted over. There's nothing holding it in place anymore, I guess, or at least not holding it in the right place. So at first they said I wasn't going to need a surgery and I thought I'd be walking by now. As it turns out, if my swelling goes down enough, I'll have a surgery on Tuesday, and the surgery is going to be a little bit extensive. I asked the doctor, I said, so is this just going to be some quick plates and screws? He said, no, it's going to be a little bit more in-depth than that. Essentially, I think they're just going to bolt my tibia back together, maybe bolt the tibia or the fibula to the tibia. But if that doesn't bring my foot back into alignment underneath there, then they'll have to have a surgery on the opposite side as well and fix that. So best case scenario, as of Tuesday, if I get the surgery, I'll have 6 weeks before I can walk. Hey GD, what's up, bud? So that's really hard for me because being here in bed's about killing me. Because as you might be able to guess if you follow the channel, I always like to be doing something constantly. Maybe not always the most productive thing, but I just like being active. So, hey Lance. Lance, if you want to help, man, we're having a cancer raffle, and you can get involved in that. I have a cancer raffle video. We're pretty close to wrapping that up and helping my friend who just went through chemotherapy, who's on some really, really hard times. So if you want to help, that would be a great way to do it. And that video is just a couple back. Thank you, Jack. So, yeah, Christopher, stuck with R&R, not recon and resistance. One of the things that I've been thinking about is in an actual survival situation, how much worse this would be than what I would think. So in my mind, I've broken a lot of bones. Broke the collarbone on this side, broke this collarbone, snapped 2 ribs, cracked my scapula. Basically, all of my fingers, thumb, nose. Uh, I guess that's probably it. And I've had a lot of skin ripped off and a lot of muscle ripped off. But so when I think of maybe breaking a leg in a survival situation, I'm like, man, just suck it up, tough it up. I'd be all right. In a survival situation with my foot the way it is, it'd be a bad, bad deal. Undescribably bad. So, um, in a combat situation, um, also, just I can hardly imagine. So, but why that's important is it puts into perspective the reality of emergency situations in combat, and that's what's missing from a lot of training and from a lot of even the military. And I'm not saying that people need to go out and break bones to get training, but you can do the coolest training in the world, but if you don't know what it's like to throw on your pack and a gun and walk for a really long distance, you're missing out on 99.9% of what combat and fighting always has been and always will be. Uh, and then you think it's okay to have a 30-pound tactical rifle. And that's why the whole tactical community and market uh, is so far removed from reality. So, anyways, it's a good thing to keep in mind. Zach, I'm glad to hear you've never broken a bone. Typically, it's not actually that bad, if I'm going to be honest, but it can obviously be really bad. So, Kevin, you too, bud. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Um, so, if you guys are not familiar, this cancer raffle, I will give whoever wins basically whatever they want from Beach and Tactical within means, but they're going to have to wait for it because I don't know. I hope to be back sewing by the end of next week, but I was saying that last week. Um, Bark River Bush Bat, very nice little knife in Yellow Hawk Custom Kydex, which is just the best. It's an awesome little sheath. Um, the Steel Will Argonaut 800, kind of a more fighter style knife. A Plum Boy Scout hatchet from somewhere between 1917 and 1920. Beautiful little hatchet. And Mora High Q, which is a neat little bushcraft knife that they've discontinued and I guess is very, very difficult to get a hold of. So 100% of the proceeds will be going directly to the guy that we're doing the raffle for. I'm not going to keep a dollar or a dime, and I will be paying for the shipping as well. So that's about that. So what I'm going to have going in the near future here is we just canceled our 5-year anniversary is August the 3rd. A couple months, maybe 6 months back, I paid for a 4-day cabin in Gatlinburg, and it was going to be our first big anniversary that we really celebrated. And so I had to cancel that. And I have some really big stuff that I can't talk about that I had to cancel. I wish I could talk about it. But hopefully I just had to push that stuff back and I'm not out of the running forever. So the next couple of days, literally, I'm on some pain meds, which I have heard have a tendency to clog you up, which I'm hoping is the case, because if I don't have to go poo, I will not be moving from this bed at all until Monday. Monday I have to drive an hour 40 all the way back to the VA, actually have Mariah drive me, and then they're going to check to make sure the swelling has gone down. I don't know why it's deciding to hurt right now. Okay. They're going to check and make sure the swelling has gone down because they can't operate it with how swollen it is. If the swelling's gone down the next day, Tuesday, I will be in surgery. And so I really need to make that happen. I need to get the surgery as quickly as possible because I need to recover as quickly as possible. I can't afford downtime. It's also given me a little bit of perspective. Um, some people say that this kind of stuff happens because I'm stupid or I do stupid stuff. I enjoy sports. I enjoy challenging myself. I enjoy pushing myself. If you do that, you're going to get hurt. I don't believe that you can. Everybody has a different level, but I don't believe that you can improve yourself past a certain uh, physical level without injury of some level. And so it's part of the game. Christopher asked if I had entertained the idea of incorporating a tourniquet into a sling. I have. Some of my customers have actually done it, and I believe some of them actually have woven a rat's tourniquet through my paracord webbing as well. It's adding a tourniquet anywhere is just always a good idea, and it's probably something that I should do myself. Now, as far as marketing, I could only purchase, of course, verified official tourniquets from North American Rescue, and I probably wouldn't be able to get them cheap enough to make it worth it to people. And everybody likes a different tourniquet anyways. But maybe what I should do is a YouTube video showing how these tourniquets could be attached to the sling through the aftermarket or through just ingenuity. That's a good idea. And like I said, certainly something that I support is all the tourniquets, all of them. So, anyways, guys, do any of you have questions for me tonight? I will be happy to answer them. I just really have to reinstate how sorry I am to do videos in bed. Like, I hate seeing myself do this. It's really hard for me to even do videos inside, but in bed, it's kind of embarrassing and not cool. So once I get the surgery, I'm going to start doing some of the inside videos that we talked about in the past. I'll be talking a little bit about my military career, doing some more reviews and stuff like that. The reason I'm not going to do that before the surgery is because I'm 100% focused on being in this bed and always having my foot elevated. So that's what's up with that. Rick, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So how this raffle's going to work is my favorite historical documentary. Man, that's hard. I don't know if this is really something that you should put out on publicly, but in general, have watched a lot of World War II documentaries, and I watch basically everything on Nazi Germany, not because I like Nazis, but because the logistical, it's just incredible. Everything that Germany did is mind-blowing. So I spent a lot of my time watching those, which helped me draw some parallels between those times and today. And but I don't know. Yeah, Back to the Future. So Rick, I'm keeping it elevated, but I can't put ice on it because I've got this specific kind of cast on it called a Cadillac splint, and basically it's like 7 pounds of padding and ace bandages with splints in between. But I've already felt the swelling go down because I already have room in the splint. So Lord willing, that will continue. History of the gun, that sounds pretty cool. So JD asked if I have seen the Ken Burns World War II documentary or his Vietnam one. He says they're crazy good. I have not. Actually, guys, that's a great idea. I might start looking up some of your favorite documentaries or movies because I'm going to be in bed for 6 weeks, so I might as well be learning. Also, Roger Staggs, if you're watching, I owe you some scriptures. We're talking a little bit of theology, which I always enjoy. Um, for some reason, while I'm lying in bed doing absolutely nothing, drifting in and out of sleep, it's really hard to get anything done, even if I've got like one thing on my to-do list. JD said the Ken Burns Civil War documentary is amazing as well if you're into that era. That's the other era that I'm into heavily. But it's kind of a different into it. I don't have just so you guys know, I don't have a TV. I don't have any cable. I don't have any way to watch anything except for the internet, but I will find some of these things to watch or buy them or whatever. But I'm huge on history. I actually, for a long time, went to a history club recently here in Franklin, Kentucky, with some friends of mine, because all my friends are old. But what was I going to get to? Oh, so I mentioned World War II and watching Nazi documentaries, which are so interesting to me because of the technical advancements and just the logistical impossibilities that it's just mind-boggling to me. So to me, World War II is incredibly interesting, especially from the Nazi lens for that reason. The Civil War is equally interesting to me, but like depressing. I don't know, like chicks like watching movies that make them cry. I like watching Civil War documentaries because it makes me depressed. Like, not actually, but gut wrenching, absolutely gut wrenching. So yes, long answer short. Yes, I like them. All right, guys. Do I have any more? Yeah, history always repeats itself, and it always comes down to statists that call themselves socialists and statists that call themselves communists. And they're always two sides of the same coin, and their enemy is always freedom. So that's why I don't care if a person is a democratic socialist or a full-blown communist or a white supremacist Nazi or anything else, because if you believe in statism, you are the enemy, which is why my last run of t-shirts on the back in big letters says, I hate communists. And I wear that shirt all the time because communism is the ultimate statism. It is the belief of the commune, which is the end goal of all states, the commune being prison. So, Clint Ragland asked if my EDC is going to change since I will be bedridden for a while. Wife's probably going to be mad at me for this, but this is my EDC right now. So I've got some cookies, water bottle. I had a couple Gatorade bottles that I peed in, pain meds, Glock. Other than that, I got a cast, man. So, and a watch. I actually should do a review on this watch because it's so ancient that it was a G-Shock, but it's completely worn smooth. I think I've been wearing this like 5 years now. It's about to fall apart. I need a new one, but I haven't motivated myself to do so. So Christopher said, "You think watching Civil War documentaries are depressing? Try being a Chicago Bears fan." That's great. I don't watch any sports at all. No mainstream sports. Never have. I feel kind of yeah. It's G-Shock. It's by Casio Lone Wolf. So never have. It is kind of embarrassing when you're around a bunch of guys and everybody's talking football and you're like, I don't know, man. But I like the Seahawks because I'm from Washington, so I can definitely understand having some team pain there. Um, so yeah, I think that's about all I've got. We'll see if there's anything else you guys want to talk about. if you guys want to talk about some of my priorities once I get better for YouTube, we can talk about that. Or, I don't know, more ideas for things I can do indoors. Um, Let me know if you guys want to see pictures during surgery. I'm going to try and get some of those of some gore. I'm going to try and get my x-rays. They have to ship those to me, so I'll show you guys my x-rays when I get them. But if there's anything in particular that you guys want to see, let me know. So JD just said, I lived in Puyallup, Washington for a year. I hope that you went to the Puyallup Fair. Um, I have been to Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany, the original. I have been to fairs and festivals all over this world and all over this country, and I wouldn't trade any of them for the Puyallup Fair. In fact, the Puyallup Fair is probably the only fair that I'd go back to because at this point in my life, I hate theme parks and fairs like a lot of other things. But I'd go back to the Puyallup Fair in a heartbeat. I miss it. I grew up riding a BMX bike, kind of like a mountain bike, all around Puyallup. Crazy fond memories out there. Black powder for prepping. I want to get into making black powder for prepping. And if you're into bushcraft, as I understand it, you already have about half of the understanding down, because one of the most important parts of making good black powder is making good charcoal, which you make like char cloth, as I understand it. That's something I'm interested in. Knowing how to do. As far as making it and storing it, that's not so much something that I'm interested in as a prepper. Monty says, give me the gore. Das ist gut. I did live in, as you might have assumed or already known, I lived in Germany for a year. Spent a lot of time on the economy, dated on the economy, wasted way too much of my money. Bought and drove a Nissan Skyline. That was regrettable but cool. Just young and back from deployment, and with nobody, no elder that I trusted to give me there a little bit of guidance on when not to do stupid stuff. So I was basically running rampant. Oh, JD, you're like 12. Man, you're in California. It's almost worth the trip to Washington to go to the Puyallup Fair. If you had a couple other things that you could link together, yeah, I'd say definitely go for it. Puyallup Fair is amazing. So Michael Bosworth said, I'm down also. VA just did a hernia surgery on me and it got infected with E. coli. My hatred for the VA. I know people are saying Trump's making it better, Trump's making it better. We're working on it. Haven't really seen it yet. So I hope he does. I hope somebody does. But think of how stupid our entire universal health care system is, when we're supposed to have universal health care, but nobody's health care has changed at all. Everybody pays way more than they ever have before, and veterans still can't use any hospital that they want. Did we really, as most people predicted, just get duped into paying more for less? Kind of like has happened since 1989, when hospitals lost the right to refuse service based on ability to pay, which is wrong. Yeah, we're stupid. Rick said, you're complaining, try living in Cincinnati. I did up till 8 years ago. Got married and moved across the river. Rick, on the DL, I'm actually considering going in that direction. I'm applying with a good friend of mine, or I'm applying to be with a good friend of mine in the Columbus PD. I'm not a big Ohio fan. I'm not going to lie. But they pay a lot of money, and I'm tired of my current situation. So actually heading up in that direction could be a possibility for me. JD Grayman asked what Skyline I had. It was an R33. It was a GTST, not a GTR, but it did have the GTR wing. The main difference being, although it's four-wheel steering, it's only rear-wheel drive and had a single turbo instead of double. We had a HKS super sequential blow-off and an HKS intake on it, and it was fun. And I raced the Ford Focus RS and RR were in Germany, I think, before they were here. I was racing those guys in the Mini Cooper S's all the time. And honestly, I only won because I had more cojones than they did. That was about it. But I drove the freaking wheels off that thing. Um, Monty Rogers asked if I've ever thought about doing a little bit of blacksmithing. I have. I have a friend, Dave Custer, in Columbia, Kentucky, who's a blacksmith, and he's going to start doing some classes. I'm thinking about doing some with him. And also in my backyard, the Mennonites are going to start doing some blacksmithing classes, and I'm planning on doing some with them. So it's something I'm very interested in, and I do think I'll get into. Let's see here. Christopher said to do a minimalist field evasion black powder and lead casting vid. Christopher, that would probably be better for you to do, and why I say that is I'm interested in doing it, but I don't think I could do it justice because it's not in my wheelhouse. But I have been very interested in lead casting and making black powder. If you can do a video, I will learn from it, and then I might video record my experimentation following in your footsteps. I'd be happy to do that. That would be really cool. The R32s are cool. Sadly, the R33, it was like the R32s are really cool. The R33 is like the middle child who's forgotten about and kind of ugly and dumb. And then the R34, I consider to be the same, but everybody loves that one. The R33 was probably the least cool Skyline to have, but it was a lot of fun. I got it for $8,000, and I think it had like 30,000 miles on it, so it was basically new. Still all fell apart, of course. Freaking Nissan. But it was the second Nissan that I had had. Actually, the first one I had was a Datsun, and they both had the same problems. Exhaust manifold stud that is steel broke in the aluminum block all the way in the back of the motor. Just a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Dang Nissan. But Michael, I'm glad that we were able to have you. 2nd Recon Marines. Awesome. I was born in Camp Pendleton, California. If you didn't know, my mom and dad were both in the Marine Corps at the time. So thank you for your service. Thank you for watching. Yeah, Rocco said that blacksmithing makes sense given my love of knives. Absolutely. And honestly, I should be doing stock removal as well. Get a grinder and a dang. I need to get on it, and it's not where I can spend my money right now. Monty, glad to have you, bud. Steve Smith, I do not have cancer. I have a broken leg, but I'm doing a raffle for a friend who does have cancer. That's a couple videos back. Please check that out if you'd be interested in helping. Alright, so Clint asked why nobody has done a video on the SEJG5. It was just released very recently, and I think that has a big reason why nobody's done a video on them. I certainly haven't gotten one. So, you know, any more information than that, and I don't really know. JD said he had a 91 240SX hatchback. You know, I used to look down on those, which seems so petty now that I'm older, but I was like, dude's got a fake Skyline, but they're pretty cool cars, and I wish that Japan would have figured out that Americans like sporty cars that are rear-wheel drive a lot earlier with a lot more models. Or I wish American manufacturers would have realized that people like smaller cars, As much as I did not like the Fox body Mustangs, why are muscle cars so big? They could be just as cool and 3/4 the size with the same power plants. They don't have to be freaking land yacht comfort cruisers. I don't get it. But small car plus big power is a win. So Christopher asked why I choose the 308 for R&R. What are my thoughts on the shotgun for the field? Lots of thoughts on this. Maybe I should try and keep it brief. Maybe I should just do a whole nother video on this. 5.56 or 223 can be an effective platform for fighting, but not as effective as I want. And if you're going to shoot out past 300 meters with 5.56, why? You can hit someone out to 800 meters, but the chances of you doing enough damage to make it worth it, if any, decrease rapidly. And 308 hits, with as much energy at 300 meters as 5.56 has at the dang muzzle. So if you have a lightweight, low recoil 308 and you can run and gun, then you can work around a house or longer range, and I trust it more if my life's on the line. With that being said, with an R&R concept, running and gunning is not the idea. You want to carry less rounds, put less rounds out at longer range to more effect, and the 308 just makes more sense for that. Now, a shotgun in the field. If we're not talking about survival, whether we're talking about survival or combat, the shotgun has a lot of disadvantages. It's big, it's heavy, and especially the ammo is huge. Ginormous. I'm over-exaggerating. But it's very versatile at close range, but, it's also very limited on how much ammo you can carry. And I really like my shotgun, but whether I was bugging out for survival or combat, or especially for R&R, it wouldn't be the firearm style that I would choose, especially for R&R, recon, and resistance. Well, for recon, a shotgun does you little to no good because you want to stay at a long distance away from stuff, move light, move fast. In resistance, I'm going to be happy to get a shotgun if I'm running house to house, if that's all I got, but it's not going to be what I'm going to choose. But it certainly has its place as a niche weapon. Okay. So Clint, you ought to let us know what you think about your JG5 if you've put it through the ringer. I'm very interested in it. I love everything that... Come on, brain. I love everything. Somebody throw me a bone here. The designer of the JG5, James Gibson. We adopted James Gibson as our baby's grandpa, and I can't remember his name right now. What the crap. I love every design that James Gibson has come out with. I love the way he makes his knives, his handles, his edge geometry. He does great stuff. So I'm very interested in the JG5 and super stoked about the carving axe and especially the Gibson pinch. Yeah, Fox body Mustangs, they're popular with the drift crowd. They're popular with about every crowd because they're dirt cheap. And I wish that Chevy would have made a mini Camaro to compete with it, because that would have been phenomenal around the 350, because it would have been even cheaper. But Elvis, glad to have you. So yeah, if you guys don't know, James Gibson is an instructor for SE. He designed the JG5. He made the original prototype for the original prototype for the PR4. The PR4's handle, that's kind of his style, and it is not like the Topps Rocky Mountain tread pattern, which at its inception was a nightmare. It is phenomenal, and everything that he's made I absolutely love. He's an incredible guy. If you guys ever get the chance, James Gibson, by the way, lives around Gatlinburg. If you guys get the chance to meet the guy, do it. Shake the man's hand. If you talk to him for 5 minutes, you'll learn something. I'm telling you. The Scout rifle for R&R is great. In fact, the only reason I didn't go with a Scout rifle is because my 308's, my DPMS G2 Recon is the same weight as a Scout rifle. So I was looking, that's what I was originally going to get for the R&R concept, was the Ruger Scout. Now I've had terrible experience with Ruger, which I'll do a video on soon, but I was going to get the Gunsight Scout. And so, but then I was comparing it to the AR308. The AR308 has come such a long way from the rocky past that it has. But, man, I got the same barrel length and almost the same weight, semi-auto capacity. So, but the Scout rifle is essentially, in my mind, the foundation for the R&R stuff. Okay. Clint said he loves the knife and he can't wait for the axe and the pinch. Hope they're cheap so I can buy multiples. I don't think that the axe will be cheap per se, although cheap is different to everybody and cheap to me is nothing. But I think that the pinch should be quite affordable. And I want like 3 to 5 of those Gibson pinches. I'd like Mariah to carry one around her neck. I'd like to carry one around my neck. I want one in my Altoids tin. I want other ones in other places. I love that little thing. JD said the Chevy 350 is the AR Glock of the engine world, and there's no doubt about that. If I didn't go with the 12-valve Cummins, I probably would have gone with the Chevy 350. Sadly, they're hard to find with the old 4-speed manual tranny. What was it, the SM464, I think? Can't remember now. Bulldog tranny, but they're pretty hard to find. But just a pretty bulletproof setup, and the sky's the limit on what you can do to them. All right, Elvis Duke. I have a question for you and anyone with good suggestions for a first hunting rifle. And yes, I am more than well aware of the overall points and views for a 22. So yeah, for a hunting rifle, 22 is usually not legal, but that's what most poachers use. You're well aware of all of that. For a hunting rifle, if you could be a little more specific, are you talking about a deer hunting rifle, varmint hunting rifle? Are you looking at rabbits, gophers, squirrel, stuff like that? Elk, bear? What you want to hunt will have a great impact on what caliber would make a good decision. I personally would like to get a Cooper rifle in 25-06, I believe it is, which is a 30-06 next down to 25 cal, and it's a classic caliber that would probably allow me to take anything from the deer around here to coyotes and maybe even a big bunny, although it would probably turn a small bunny into a pink mist. But if I could find some of those German 30-pound crazy bunnies. But, I mean, I'd look at availability. Right now, everywhere on the planet, you can find 223 or 556 dirt cheap. It's probably what I'd buy, is a little bolt action 223 or 556 or even an AR. Because if the market's so swamped with them, why wouldn't you? But if you're talking 556 and 223, it's not going to leave anything left on the bone if you're talking about squirrels. So, you know, if you are talking about small game, 22 long rifle is, for me, the beginning and the end of the conversation, and it's my favorite caliber. And people think that I hate 22 long rifle because my videos on it, because I don't think it's a prudent decision for people to choose a 22 long rifle as their primary fighting caliber. But it's neither here nor there. Rick Cairns talked about 17 Hornet for prairie dogs and bunnies. Um, I think I'm vaguely familiar with 17 Hornet. I think it's a really cool caliber. Um, I think that the 17 rim fires are lighter weight and lower velocity, but a lot cheaper right now and very versatile. And you've got 17 HMR, 17 HMR2, 17 WSM, 17 like Rocket or something like that. You've got all kinds of stuff. Any of those little Mighty Mite calibers, I think, are going to be good for small game for sure. So Elvis replied, he said, "Dear, and if I go to Texas Force, a friend of mine suggested I go, which is the same round as an AK-47, which I've never fired myself. Sounds a little too heavy, but I don't know anything about." So the AK-47 shoots 7.62 by 39. It's a 30 caliber bullet with a shorter case than a 308, and it's going to it's a lower velocity, lower weight bullet than a 308. Effective range about 300 yards. Some people will say 150. Maybe some people say over 300 yards. But basically, it's a little bit shorter range than 5.56 or 2.23, but it hits with a good punch. In my vehicle dynamics class with John Farnham, we got to compare 7.62 by 39 with 5.56 for penetrating vehicles, and there's no comparison. 7.62 by 39 blew it away. It was awesome. Uh, in fact, for any kind of fighting, 7.62 by 39 or 300 blackout should probably be the minimum, especially after you see the penetration results on vehicles and stuff like that. But you can hunt with 7.62 by 39. I hunted with a AK-47, but probably not practical. Not the most practical, but you can get ammo for nothing too, so that's a huge benefit. Clint said 17 is a very finicky caliber. Don't carry one if it's missing. If it's misting rain, they don't have enough weight for some conditions, but on a clear, calm day, you wouldn't believe how far it will shoot accurately. Yeah, that's basically what I've heard about them. And the lighter a bullet you shoot, the more you've got to pay attention to your environment. So, yeah, I mean, basically, I'm not going to be able to pull myself away from 22 long rifle. It's just so cheap and so widespread available, and I've got thousands of rounds of it, and I can get thousands of rounds with it. And it's just, for me, if I'm going light stuff, 22 is the way to go. Elvis was looking for a bore caliber. Yeah, so 7.62 by 39, as I understand it's very popular for hunting pig, as is 300 blackout. I think that they're phenomenal calibers. 30-30 I think is also popular, and 308 and 5.56 and 2.23 as well. But if I was hunting boar, I would probably want 7.62 by 39, so I could get a little bit more energy in there. So yeah, a good 8K will get you a long ways for slaying some pig. But a good AR and 300 blackout will do it with a little bit more precision, maybe, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But it's going to cost more too. Clint said 50 Beowulf would be a good for boar also if you like to go big. Oh yeah, 458 SOCOM, 50 Beowulf. I would love to launch some of that heavy stuff. A lot of those perform similar to 4570 out of a little AR semi-automatic, and man, if that doesn't put a smile on your face. Which actually for boar hunting, that might be another good thing to mention is 4570. You can roll your own for next to nothing. Super classic cartridge. It's the only kind of government that I trust actually is 4570 government, and so good caliber for sure. And you can get them in a good quality lever gun for pretty cheap. Um, so 4570 is just cool. And if you got 4570 and you scrolled up this semi wad cutter bullets, and putting some nice little holes into some pig. It'd be just a phenomenal time. So I lost you there for a second. Magnum Research does the Magnum Research BFR for big fancy revolver, or biggest fanciest revolver, or big effing revolver, something like that. They do 4570. I actually wanted to get one custom made when I was in the military with an octagon barrel and some wood grips and stuff, and it would have been just incredible. But single action only, very cool. But in a revolver or in a rifle, 500 Smith & Wesson performance-wise is certainly the way to go. And so Bighorn Armory makes not only lever actions but also ARs in 500 Smith & Wesson, which is a really cool option for sure. So, lots of information being thrown at everybody as fast as possible. Yeah, Elvis, I also have a public figure page on Facebook. You could feel free to message me on there, and I can talk to you about whatever firearms or whatever else if you would like. Um, definitely pay attention to brands and reviews, because the sad truth today is, while everybody's talking about how manufacturing has gotten so good that anything you buy will be of relative decent quality, the opposite is true. The market is demanding crap because nobody actually shoots their guns as a general rule. And if nobody's shooting their guns, there's nobody to hold manufacturers accountable, and they will crank out the cheapest possible firearm that they can to sell at the lowest price so they can sell the most of them, and quality is going to absolute garbage. So you do want to be choosy with where you buy your firearms from now, and there are places where you can get a good value cheap gun, and there are places where you can get a cheap gun that's absolute crap, and there are places where you can get an expensive gun that's crap. So you know, um, be prudent. Yeah, a few things as cool as a big revolver. I don't know if you guys saw for our gender reveal, but I shot a balloon with my dad's 500 Smith & Wesson. That was actually the first time I'd shot it. That slug's still in that tree out there, but that was awfully cool. Awful cool guns. So, alright guys, I'm gonna take some pain meds and pass out here pretty soon. But Elvis, it's absolutely my pleasure, buddy. Thank you for watching and interacting. It's absolutely, I love having you, and I love having everybody on here that actually, wants to learn, wants to talk, wants to have a discussion. That's what I'm all about. Thank you for being here. JD said, if anyone is carrying anything other than a high point, then they need to go home and rethink their life. High points. In another video, guys. So, have a great night. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you so much, and I hope to talk to you soon.